Welcome to the first episode of Commerce Central for the year. It is January 5th, 2022, and I can't believe it. It's crazy. But welcome back and Happy New Year. Today, we have a very special guest. Speaker of the House, Speaker Sexton, is with us today. So thank you for coming today. I very much appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Happy New Year to everybody who's listening, and hopefully everybody had a Merry Christmas and a good New Year's.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about leadership and then also just get a quick preview of what 2022 looks like. But first, Speaker Sexton, tell us about yourself.
Well, I live in Crossville, Tennessee, grew up in Knoxville, went to Oak Ridge High School, University of Tennessee. Been an elected official now for about 12 years, served with a lot of great people in Nashville, Barry Doss and now Clay Doggett. And so it's been fun. It's been quite a journey. I have 3 kids. One's out of college, one's in college, and one's in first grade. So,
wow, you have the range there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I've got to tell you, your staff has been awesome to work with my experience at the Chamber. I've got to brag on them right quick, of course. Rockstar team, you've done a fantastic job. But what made you want to run for office to begin with?
Well, it goes back. So about 12 years ago, I had locals who came to me, and they were not satisfied with who was representing them at the time. And there's various issues going on. I won't go into all the details. And so we thought about it, and we ran, and we ended up winning pretty big, and been there for about 12 years. But one of the reasons I ran, the slogan that I use, which is not a slogan, but it's a campaign promise, which is people before politics. Mm-hmm. And that's what the message was, because that's what was going on, more politics than doing something for the people.
Sure, yeah. And of course, in today's climate, it's a hard conversation nationally. But from your perspective, why does leadership matter today?
Well, leadership matters at all levels, right? And it really should be incorporated into the school systems, to develop those skills and those traits. But, you know, we're a society, we're a free country. You need leaders. If you don't have leaders, then you may move into communism and other things, because you're going to have a lack of it, and people are going to follow people. And so, you know, leadership matters. It really does matter who governs. And I think over the last 12 years in Tennessee, we've had the right leadership with the right people who are governing due to the people who elect all those all across the state of Tennessee, and we've done great things. Yeah,
again, so I mentioned your Rockstar staff, but over the past few years especially, you look at the state of Tennessee, the job growth has been phenomenal with historic wins in West Tennessee recently, but even here in Lawrence County, you know, over the past, I think since 2015, 1,000 new jobs committed in rural Lawrence County, taking us from distress to at risk, now a transitional county. And that's because of leadership, right? And so I just want to take that opportunity to say thank you for that and your commitment and working with the General Assembly, now leading it. So what's it like being Speaker?
Well, let me make a movie reference. I love movies. And so, you know, Field of Dreams, they said, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And I think what you've seen over the last 12 years, we haven't really built it, but what we have built is a policy with less regulations, lower tax burdens, a lot of things. And we created an environment in Tennessee where you match it with the local businesses are looking to come in, and businesses are thriving and trying to add. So I think we've been very blessed. Being Speaker, it's a wonderful thing. I will say the one thing that they don't tell you about is you're in charge of a multi-million-dollar company with over 100 and some employees, that you still have HR issues and you have all those issues you have to deal with. It's just not the policy and the committees. There's a lot more to it. So they don't explain the second half to you, but the first half's really good as well.
Sure. Well, that's good. That's good. So, and you're coming out of 2021, which was a historic year. You had, you know, normal session, multiple special sessions. Tell us about 2022. What can we expect?
Well, hopefully we won't have any special sessions, because they're not so special anymore.
Right.
We've had a lot in the last 2 years. I think you'll see us looking at juvenile justice. I think you'll see us trying to cut that pipeline of moving them into adult offenders and try to figure out some intervention programs to help with juvenile crime to get them back into society and not go that path. I think you'll see us try to continue to improve education, K through 12 and higher education. There's a look at taking that BEP formula. We'll see, which is how we fund the school systems throughout the state. You know, I agree with the governor, who's done a fabulous job, Governor Lee, that if you're a business person and you pay every single person the same wages regardless of the job that they do, you're going to get mediocrity. Yeah. And so I'm not saying that some schools aren't giving this great, but they are, but they're not being rewarded because they're giving us great. They get rewarded the same as the worst, just based on attendance, daily attendance. And so having some mechanism to reward those who are performing well in addition to the normal funding, I think is a very good thing to take a look at in a direction that we do need to go.
Well, I tell you, in Lawrence County, I love to hear that. I've got a good friend of mine, and he does good work in Benton County Mayor Brett Lashley. But we were in a program together recently, and we looked at the funding for our schools. And Lawrence County schools were drastically underfunded compared to Benton County schools. But when you look at performance, it was interesting because we were outperforming them quite a bit. And so we had a very frank discussion about, okay, well, if we're going to be talking about BEP funding, it's not about, allocating, like you said, the exact dollar for each student across the board, because every district's different. And so for our schools here in Lawrence County, we're very excited to hear this reform, because again, we know it's not all about funding, it's all about performance, and we're lucky to outperform here. We're lucky that you're there to oversee things education-wise. Going back to juvenile justice really quickly, I'm not sure if you know this, but my background is actually, I was a juvenile probation officer. That was my first job out of college, and that's actually what led me to economic development. 80% of the kids that I saw and their parents were unemployed. And so I perceived that job creation, economic development, was a solution to solve this. So this is my opportunity to say thank you again for focusing on that, because that's a problem here in Lawrence County. We believe we can tackle it from a jobs perspective. I know well that the policy side of that world also needs some help, so thank you for that.
Yeah, well, I think that we never really focus on intervention. You talk to any DA, any sheriff, and juvenile crime is increasing because you have the adult offenders knowing that it's more lax on juvenile and getting them in. So we really need to solve that problem. The other thing is you're talking about economic community development that we need to discuss is I love our TCATs. They're doing a great job. The programs are a year to 2 years long sometimes. But there are opportunities out there, and we need to partner with businesses where you within 2 to 3 months, you just get the basic training, and within 3 months, you can go out and start making $45,000, $50,000 a year. We also need to look at those programs in our TCATs, because there's a lot of young people who aren't going to go do a program for 2 years. There's people who want to change careers, but they don't want to take off for 2 years or go to night school for 2 years. So there's plenty of opportunities to where I think we can redefine the TCATs and be able to put in programs that take less time, that get you in the workforce and start making a living, which helps juveniles, which helps rural areas, and gives people the opportunity to get economic freedom. And that's what we really want.
Yeah. Man, it's good to see that kind of leadership happening in Nashville. It's awesome. So we have something called Last Word, Speaker Sexton, and where you just get the last word. Now, we ask that word to be a single word, and on the screen, we're going to put a definition underneath it, and that could be any word. So what's your word of the day for us?
Oh, wow. I wish I had that before I came in.
Yeah, my apologies.
I don't know. Opportunity.
Opportunity. That's awesome. And can I ask why that word today?
Because at the end of the day, we cannot make you be successful. We cannot get you to be successful. You have to want to do that yourself. It has to be some kind of internal drive. But in order for us to be successful, we need to be able to give people the opportunity where if they do want to be successful, if they do want to work hard, if they do want to provide for their family, we give them the opportunity to do so, and hopefully they'll take advantage of it.
Absolutely perfect. Well, thank you for joining us on this very first Commerce Central episode for 2022. Speaker Sexton, a pleasure to have you. Good luck this session, and I hope it is less than extraordinary as last year's was.
I do too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.